J.J. McCarthy's first NFL season may have ended the same way it often unfolded, abruptly, painfully, and with more questions than answers. Late in the second quarter against the New York Giants, McCarthy dropped back, scanned the field, and never saw Brian Burns closing in. The hit was violent. The ball came loose. The Giants scooped it up and ran it back for a touchdown. 25 seconds later, McCarthy was walking off the field holding his hand. By halftime, he was ruled out. That single play felt like a summary of the entire season. If McCarthy doesn't take another snap this year, his rookie campaign ends not with clarity or momentum, but with uncertainty. And that uncertainty now hangs over the Minnesota Vikings at the worst possible time. From a purely statistical standpoint, the season was underwhelming. McCarthy finishes 9 starts with more interceptions than touchdowns, a completion percentage under 57%, and an offense that rarely looked comfortable when he was on the field. He showed flashes, moments where the arm talent and athleticism popped, but those moments were isolated. They never stacked, and they were constantly interrupted by injuries. That's what makes this season so volatile. It wasn't just bad play, it wasn't just health. It was the combination of both, layered on top of massive expectations created by the decision to move on from Sam Darnold. That decision now looms over everything. The Vikings didn't just draft McCarthy. They chose him. They let Darnold walk after a 14-3 season. They handed the offense to a quarterback coming off a meniscus injury with limited NFL experience and asked him to lead a roster built to compete immediately. That was a bet. Not just on talent, but on readiness, and right now it looks like a bet that came too early. McCarthy's season began with promise. Week 1 in Chicago was exactly the kind of debut teams dream about. Prime time, division rival, early struggles followed by a fourth-quarter surge, 3 touchdowns late, a comeback win. For a moment, it felt like Minnesota had found its guy. But the NFL doesn't reward moments, it demands consistency. The following week against Atlanta, the cracks showed. 2 interceptions, no touchdowns, then the high ankle sprain, 5 games missed, development stalled, momentum gone. When McCarthy returned, it was more of the same cycle. A solid win against Detroit, then 3 straight losses, a concussion, another absence, and finally the humiliating loss to Seattle, delivered by the very quarterback Minnesota decided wasn't worth keeping. That game may have done more psychological damage than any other. Sam Darnold walking into US Bank Stadium and shutting the Vikings out 26-0 while McCarthy watched from the sideline wasn't just symbolic. It was haunting. From that point on, every McCarthy snap carried extra weight. To his credit, he responded late. The wins over Washington and Dallas were easily his best stretch of the season. 5 touchdowns, 1 interception, better command, better rhythm, better decisions. For the first time since week 1, it felt like progress was finally happening. And then came Sunday. Another interception, another turnover, another injury, another early exit. The strip sack wasn't just costly because it resulted in a defensive touchdown. It was costly because it reopened every doubt the organization hoped was starting to close. Ball security, pocket awareness, durability, readiness. Even in victory, the Vikings walked off the field without answers. Now the questions are unavoidable. Is McCarthy simply too raw to lead a win-now roster? Did the Vikings misjudge how much time he would need? Did they rush him back too quickly after multiple injuries? And most importantly, can they afford to keep riding this development curve while the rest of the roster ages? None of those questions have clean answers yet, but the injury complicates everything. With 2 games left, Minnesota doesn't know if McCarthy will return this season. They don't know the severity of the hand injury. They don't know if more setbacks are coming, and they don't know whether the flashes they saw late are real growth or just small sample optimism. What they do know is this: the plan was supposed to be simpler. McCarthy was supposed to be the next step forward, not a reset. He was supposed to stabilize the position, not reopen it. Instead, the Vikings are heading into another offseason with uncertainty at the most important spot in sports. That doesn't mean McCarthy can't still become the guy. Quarterbacks develop on different timelines. Plenty of successful NFL careers started shakily. But the margin for patience shrinks when expectations are high and alternatives are visible. And Sam Darnold thriving elsewhere has made patience harder. If McCarthy's season truly ends on that strip sack, It's not just a rough ending, it's a fitting one. A season defined by interruptions, inconsistency, and unrealized promise, ending with a single play where protection breaks down, the ball comes loose, and control slips away. The Vikings won the game, but they may have lost something more valuable: confidence in their timeline. What happens next will define not just McCarthy's future, but the direction of the franchise. Because right now, Minnesota isn't just wondering how good JJ McCarthy can be, they're wondering how long they can afford to wait to find out.